Morning, how are you? I'm knackered, to be honest with you. I flew back in from my holiday and knackered, flight, driving back from Manchester. And I will apologise in advance if you can hear a funny noise at any stage of this video. It's washing machine going. Because that's the thing that you get back, and then the truly depressing sign at home is all cases opening up, laundry going in out of cases, you know. I mean, I'm saying that as if I've done anything. I haven't done. Our lass has done that. She's the hero in this scenario. I just try and look helpful by saying, I'll make tea. Make tea, you know. I've chucked 2 pizzas in the oven for 20 minutes, you know. Mainly staying out of the way. Yeah, she's the hero in this outfit, no danger. But anyway, so if you can hear that, that's what it is. It's washing machine going, which is a really depressing noise, actually. It's a real signifier that the fun's over, isn't it? And speaking of the fun being over, the reason we're here to talk about Sheffield Wednesday against Stoke City. Henrik Pedersen forced into a change because of the injury last weekend to Nathaniel Chalabar, so Sean Fazier came into midfield as Wednesday went with Charles in goal, a back five of Valerie, Otigbayo, Iofa, Lowe and Liam Palmer. As I said, Fazier coming into midfield with Barry Bannon and Spencer Ingleson, and a continued partnership up front of Bailey Kadamatri and Jamal Lowe. Now before the game, big protests in Hillsborough Park. I'm not seeing it obviously because I'm getting back from airport. I've seen a few pictures online. Look like there were some quite big numbers down there, and a funeral parade with a Wednesday designed coffin. If you were down there, you'll have to know let me know how it went. But it looked very busy there. Looked to be a lot of numbers in park, which is more than can be said for the stadium. 21,000. That's got to be at lowest opening day home attendance for a lot of years. And I'm struggling to think of an attendance lower than that for first home game of the season. And does that include season tickets? You know, because I think they're counted as being in the ground, but I think many of them haven't turned up. Looked a bit big pockets all over the place. And obviously the North Stand open, and that was the other news this week. It has been officially open, but again, empty patches on the ends, and there looked to be a lot of gaps in there in the main stand. And I have seen a photograph tonight of part of the North Stand with some tie wraps on there. Hopefully just holding some cables up and not actually holding any girders together around. But you never know. The protest carried on into the stadium. Obviously there were loads of whistles going in there, which were quite deafening at one point. And when I've been watching back on the commentary this evening. And then that sort of faded, and it faded because of a little bit of interference from something that got in the way, which was actually football. You know, it sort of, football interfered with the political messages that were going on. But Stoke City scored after 2 minutes. A very frustrating goal for Wednesday, a self-made goal. A bit of an hospital ball from Otigbayo. Fazier not really expecting it. He's wrong-footed. You know, don't probably react in the way he should, because I know there's an argument he's not expecting the ball, but when you're in midfield play, I think you've always got to be expecting the ball, aren't you? Especially off a set and half, because they don't really want it most of the time, do they? So ball in there, it's cut out, it gets worked in onto, you know, our left-hand side, their right-hand side. And I've heard some people, Palmer should do better, should show him outside. But when he's had that first, you know, when ball comes across to their lad, he's already inside. You know, and show him outside when he's already in. Best you can do then is try and, you know, stop the shot. And he does get towards the shot, but he sort of wriggles through. It happens a lot, actually, you know. I think it's because so many cameras everywhere now that you can barely watch a game without, you know, a blocking defender gets megged up. Keepers get megged a lot these days, don't they? I mean, not in this instance, but I was saying this to my dad the other year around at his house watching a game. Newcastle, Arsenal, I can't remember who it were, but a number of times balls just go under goalkeeper or through the legs. And it got me to thinking, when I was a kid, from 6 to 16 maybe, every session you had with shooting, make sure you shoot across goal, son. Bigger surface area to it, and if keeper palms it down or your mate can tap it in. And I used to think to myself, but every time we do these shooting drills, keeper's getting told that, isn't he? He's listening to that as well. They're always going to shoot across goal. So we're not actually making it easier for them, won't we? Now and again be better shooting on near post. Which of course, Andy Cole had a similar idea to me and made a career out of shooting on near post. But anyway, lots of shots straight at keeper these days, Gwandrum. I'm distracting my son again. I think I've got jet lag. So Wednesday 1-0 down, a goal of their own making, unfortunately, which sort of silences the crowd a little bit. But overall, Wednesday ain't got a bad shape. I think we defend quite manfully in open play. I ain't got any stats, but it seemed to me today that Dominic Iorford, same as against Leicester, actually won a hell of a lot of headers in there, defensive headers. But although I'd say Stoke had a level of comfort in the play, I don't really think they caused us that many problems. I thought we defended quite well. I know that sounds daft because it was 3-0, but... And then as the half's going on, about 20-25 minutes, I thought we start to have these little breaks and it opens up a little bit. Ingleson, very busy, industrious. Oh, actually, I think he was probably my man of the match today, Ingleson. But there's just a little bit of a lack of cohesion in Wednesday's attacking play. That was the thing today that stood out for me, I think. There was a lovely move. Ingleson spread the ball out to Valerie, got a cross in. Palmer had come busting a gut right in at the back post. It would have been like a simple little nut. Their lads done really well actually to get in and put it behind for a corner. But yeah, I thought we got a good shape. Thought we shuttled about and sort of harried them where we could. The keepers made a couple of really good saves again. They were popping a few long distance drives in Stoke. But I think part of that is because I think we were defending quite well overall. They hit the bar, like 5 minutes before half time maybe. Again, a little clip ball. That's the ball that causes some problems today, that little clip ball. Kid gets in off right. Good run by their forward, by the way. Little lift over Charles, and Palmer's done brilliantly well to get back, hook it offline, and then I think it was Baker, with a sort of first time off volley shot off bar. But as I said, that were Wednesday getting back in numbers. Palmer were back there on line to clear it away, and there was a lot of that today. But I think that's why the goals are so disappointing, because they have worked hard. And they're avoidable goals. The first ones I've had on making, and then the two in the second half, the players and the management will be disappointed with manner of them, because overall we didn't do too bad, I didn't think. Just before break, so probably maybe Wednesday's best spell, little bits of pressure, Ingleson charging forward. Very good game from him today, actually, very busy, industrious. Jamal Lowe coming off the left-hand side, clipped a nice ball in for, I think it was Kadamata who got forward. And then Barry Bannon went down, so I think everybody sort of held their breath. It went down holding his knee, and I hope he's alright with that. He played on, obviously, but it looked like a sideways jar on that. And where I'm a little bit concerned there is, if you do your medial ligaments, it's not like when you snap your ACL and it's on leg looks like it's hanging off and you can't put any weight in it. And medial's got you can carry on. You can probably play for a month without even twigging that you've done some serious damage sometimes, apart from swelling. So I hope there's not like that. I'm sure they'll have had him bathed in ice or whatever after the game, but that was a bit of a concern because that was a real whack. Hopefully it's just a bit of a sprain on it. He came out complete attack, that as you would expect him to. Barry Bannon, he'd never come off unless he was really, struggling or knew there was serious damage done. But there's something to keep an eye on that. Second half, nightmare like the first half. A very early goal for Stoke in them gold shirts. I don't know, you'd been all while, weren't they, playing in red and white then? But this is another thing about modern football that annoys me. But a really frustrating goal, caught sleeping. If we just come out from half time, that's when you've got to be focused in it. When you come out that first minute, it's like, right, no death, let's have a little, talked about it last game, let's have a solid 15 minutes after half time, no deft, and it's just a punt. That's where it's frustrating. It's just a bit of a punt. Frustrating because when you're a defender in a back three or a back four, you've got positions and you might be moving your line up. Might only be 3 yards at a time. 3 yards, okay, and then again, and same when you're dropping back. And when opposition sort of deep midfielder has got ball, you're expecting somebody to go and close him down. If nobody does go to close him down and he has a touch or you can see he's looking up, that's a time when you've got to be thinking, right, it's time for that little 4 yard back shuffle, because that could come, might not come, but as soon as you see Ed go, you've got to be, right, let's just, and we just get caught a little bit with that, so that's frustrating. So disappointing, sort of dinking behind, a weft in behind. Good movement from their forward, good movement from all their front three, actually. They've impressed me all afternoon with it. Where that Charles comes out bravely to feet, kid just manages to get a bit on it, dinks one across and lads in. Is it Umbama on loan from City, 2-in-2. Strong header, gets there just before I offer. 2-0, game's over to all intents and purposes. But a frustrating goal, the first one and that one, it's like, 2 minutes after kick-off. And that's just that little bit of focus and frustrating. Wednesday, as I said, a little bit of cohesion missing today, but there was one nice little bit of play, little wall pass. Bannon plays with Fazien and he pings it out to Palmer. Links with Ingleson. He gets shot, keeper makes safe. Palmer gets in again then and he nudges it past man, does everything right, but you don't get a full connection on it, and I think Bannon's coming in to try and get his left foot round it, Palmer's right foot, and it's like, I think it does enough just to put him off getting a full connection on it. And Wednesday had a couple of efforts, there were a cross at back stick, Valerie headed it back across, and Bannon acrobatic overhead kick, and Johansson made a really good save. But Stoke at this stage they were enjoying themselves. They got a lad, I think it was called Palmer. Looked like he were playing in carpet slippers, granddad socks on. I'm surprised nobody gave him I don't mean a malicious foul, I don't like that, you're not trying to injure anybody, but you see somebody without shinnies, you're going in for the block tackle, you'd do a bit of the old hockey stick legs, wouldn't you? And just make sure you got a bit of a whack on there. I found that hard to fathom. But anyway, they were starting to enjoy themselves a bit. Creswell was starting to have a bit of joy down that left-hand side. I mean, at one bit he put a cross in it. He had all day to pick his crosses out there. Lad heads over, he probably should do better than these. Young Charles again makes about 3 or 4 saves. I'm saying Wednesday's defended well today, but what I should be saying is I thought they kept a decent shape for large spells of game. But they had opportunities, and they probably could, on another day have had 5 or 6 and been very happy with themselves. But Charles made some terrific saves again. And again, it's all because he's got good footwork, and people always talk about his footwork with his passing, but his footwork with his adjustments is what I like to see. And then the third goal, again frustrating, it's sort of left back position for their lad. Just a punt again, caught everybody out, it's over the top. Lad streaks away and he just, he doesn't even put his head up because he already knows where his runners is. Like I said, they were impressive, their front three, Stoke. Don't even get his head up, just puts that ball because he knows where his mate's going to be. And Charles gets down, it sort of bumbles into the net. I won't associate any blame with him there. And it's 3-0. We knew it was going to be a tough game. They've had a really good start to the season. That's 2 out of 2 for them. At the bottom of the table makes very depressing reading for this city, the birthplace of football, I'll just remind you. Yeah, the birthplace of football. But we knew it was going to be like this for Wednesday this season. We knew it was going to be difficult. Henrik Pedersen's got an incredibly hard job. He's not managed to get anybody in so far. Obviously, there's a restriction on transfer fees being paid, so we're going to have to be shopping in a different market. I've been catching up with my messages today, of which there are hundreds. 1 or 2 players who we're having a look at. One's gone to West Brom that we look like we might be getting. I think the lad Cooper from Leeds has been training with us, which I think that'd be good if we could get that over the line. Don't know what the delay is, but maybe he's worried about being paid. But an experienced centre half there, and that's something we're crying out for. I think we've seen that again today. Somebody, like I said, the nature of the goals. The first one's a gift of our own making. The other 2, the punts. For as comfortable as Stoke were, and they played some nice stuff in patches. Like I said, that lad Palmer, he's got a nice flow and an ease about him. If he weren't playing against us, I think I'd have quite enjoyed watching him as a neutral. But for all that, the goals, they're very simple ones in end. A giveaway and 2 punts. That's what's done for us. So we do need them reinforcements in. Yeah, there's some experience in there. It's difficult with the kids, isn't it? And we try and be positive. And I've got to be honest, that the crowd's positive towards the kids. A lot stayed behind and applauded the team off because, supporters know, I think genuine supporters know what the situation the players are in and the coaching staff are in and what they're having to sort of put up with and the restrictions that are on them and how tough it's going to be. Championship, we can talk about quality and it's a debate we have every season. It's not as strong as last year and blah, blah, blah. But the Championship is one of the most competitive leagues in the world and it's a difficult place to be blooding kids in. And people want to see kids from academy in the team. We're always saying it. We want to see more of our homegrown talent and this sort of. But there's a way to embed them in the team. And a relegation dogfight is not a situation when you want to be bedding young kids in, and especially in the numbers as well. And it is a learning experience for them, but it's going to be an incredibly tough one. And if we look at the first 2 games, I think we've defended well overall. I know we've lost them both, but overall I think we've been okay. But it's hard work. It's really hard work keeping that focus and defending for 90 minutes. And you can have energy and desire and, against Leicester especially, I thought we were really good at sort of winning second ball. A lot of industry in there. You can't do that for 46 matches. Because not just physically, they're going to feel it physically, young lads, the first sort of full seasons in professional football, they are going to feel it physically, but they're going to feel it more up here. And so are some more experienced lads. When you're defending every week, it's mentally tiring, I think we've seen a little bit of that with goals today, really good shuttling about, keeping a decent shape, and then one lapse of concentration, one ping of the top, and you took out a game, and it is hard, and it's going to be hard for them kids. And like I said, we're trying to be positive about it, and it is good to see young kids coming through. And good job we've got some, to be frank. but it's not ideal for them. It's not an ideal bedding ground. And, you know, people will say, well, Man United that time, you know, made Alan Hansen look like a mug when chuck players in. And I'm not saying that's a myth, especially, but it's a little bit of a different scenario. You know, you look at Wednesday in the week with kids 16, 17 in team. You know, that Man United team, who were all incredible players, by the way, but it weren't like 10 youngsters were chucked in. You know, Gary Neville had been playing and getting appearances under his belt for the previous 3 years. You know, when he got that title win, the class of 92 or whatever, he'd been getting games since 92 in League Cup, in European games as well. League Cup, FA Cup and in League. And same with Beckham. You know, people forget that he had that loan spell at Preston North End. And these were kids who were, you know, like 20 years old. They weren't 16, 17 getting chucked in there, you know. It's and by the way, it weren't like 10 of them got chucked in. You know, they're getting put into a team that's doing well, used to winning things. You know, they've got Schmeichel in there, Steve Brooks, Dennis Irwin, Roy Keane, Brian McClare. They're getting embedded in with a host of international experience in there amongst them. There's a lot of our kids are coming in, and it's who's next to me this week. I don't know, I'm just getting bogged down with having to use kids. But hopefully, over their careers, it will be positive that they're getting this experience. Whether it's going to be positive this season remains largely in doubt. It still could be a positive experience for them if we manage to get some experienced lads in there with them and they can be brought in and out and then get them rests when they need and when they're physically tired and mentally tired and that way. But yeah, let's try and finish on a positive. A couple of things I want to talk about, my positives today. Firstly, my man of the match, Svante Ingolson. I thought he was really good. I thought he was energetic, showed great desire, always wanted the ball, tried to make things happen. A strong runner. Obviously got his throwing, which is a good weapon. And as tough as this season's going to be, I think it might actually work out in favour for Svante Ingolson. You know, he had an impressive debut last year at Plymouth. Then he was sort of in and out of the side, weren't he? Got shuffled around a couple of positions, and I don't think he ever got that full run. And he strikes me as the kind of player who needs a run of games, get that momentum going, you know. And I thought he was really good today. And I think this can be sort of, I don't want to say breakthrough season, you know, he's not a babby himself, but in terms of his Wednesday career, if he can get 35, 40 games this season, I think that'd be really good, and I think we'll see a bit of momentum from him. So impressed with him. Thought he were Wednesday's best player. Thought he were man of the match. So it could be a bonus for him. The other thing I want to talk about, and although we've not scored, and the keeper will get the plaudits, young Kadamatri. Now I like him anyway. I liked him when I saw him last season. There was a particular goal, can't remember what game it was now, but he got all claret coming out of his neck. You know, he took a bash and he scored. And I thought he'll do for me because he's got that bravery. You know, he's a big unit, puts himself about, works hard, chases things down. But that bravery, that'll get some goals this season. Puts his head in where it hurts. Got his head on loads of stuff today as well. And a couple of really big units they'd got at the back, Stoke, by the way. And he were more than a match for them. More than a match for them. The one thing I'd like to see with Kadamatri this season, it's not particularly something that will come from him. It'd have to come from Henrik Pedersen, really, and Jamal Lois. If we're going to continue with these two as a pair, I'd like to see them playing close together. You know, if you're going to play a partnership rather than a three or whatever, close together. Now, Jamal Lowe put a couple of really nice balls in today, really intelligent, where he dropped out wide into a little space and put a good delivery in. And obviously he's played most of his career out wide, you know, predominantly off the left. And so it's really a natural instinct for him to pop up out there. But it leaves that gap. It leaves that gap. And Wednesday, like I said, lacking a little bit of that flow. when we got it into the last third, and I'd like to that end, I'd like to see them two play a bit closer together. Like I said, he's a powerful boy, Cadamarteri, can hold it up, can run in, and I'd like to see Lowe playing in that satellite around him, because he's an intelligent player. I'd like to see them two get closer together, because if you're not going to do that, if you're going to, say to Jamal Lowe, yeah, pop out left and right and whatever, I think you may as well play three up front and have him do that properly. Get them two closer together, and I think with somebody in and around him, I think you'll then start to see even more from Cadamarteri, and I think he's had a positive start already. As I said, very brave, but not just brave in getting his head in there where it hurts, but brave in taking on shots and headers and not being scared to miss, in front of the Leicester game. Brilliant run down left-hand side, come inside, took a shot. It's very easy in that position to, groans. He's not bothered about it. He's like, no, I'm going to take it on. So I like that. He's brave. I think we'll see a lot more from him. And like I said, just like to see Jamal Lowe get a little bit closer around him. Otherwise, as I said, you may as well play with a three for me, and maybe Lowe left, Ugbo right, and Cadamarteri down the middle. If you're going to play a partnership, let them be a partnership, if you know what I mean. My third positive is obviously the goalkeeper. Made another hatful of saves today, and I'd seen some rumour Strasbourg or somebody wanted him for £2 million. Get in the bin, lads. Genuinely, that's an absolute piss take. The problem we've got, of course, is we don't know what he's going to do about it upstairs. I mean, he's selling half at Family Jewels, and a Gassama's gone for an absolute snip. Masaba's gone, Windas's gone, Smith's gone that we could have got a fee for, so kind of past him. He's eventually started to sort of twig after however many years, over a decade. Oh, you can sell players. Unfortunately, we're not selling 29-year-olds and making money before they're not worth it. We're selling kids, and he can't be one of them. He cannot be one of them. He's got to stay. An out lesson, genuinely. He's an international goalkeeper. Out less than 10 million and a selling clause. Get him bin. Not having it. So, yeah, disappointing. Disappointing scoreline, obviously. And result. Performance I didn't think were that bad. Like I said, but just lacking that little bit of flow going forward. That little bit of sort of connectivity and move sort of breaking down a little bit. Hopefully we'll get there. He popped on for the last 5 minutes as well. Young, last 20 minutes. McNeil. I quite like him as well. He don't care, does he? I like them players with that thing that they don't care. He smashed a bit of a shindig Rooney over at bar. Not bothered. I'm taking it on. I like that. A bit when he get ball away at one bit, and that didn't bother him. Well, I'll get away. I'll try and get back in. I like that. Frustrating, but not unsurprising. Hopefully we can see a little bit of business done. Maybe get a little bit of experience in on free transfers or whatever it is. I don't think that could, but if we could get him over the line, it'd be a good signing, because old heads don't spine. I'd like another experienced centre-half. And so next up to the racecourse ground and Josh Windass.